Howdy everybody, here for our monthly garden walk. These are always long and just kind of a chance for me to chat with you guys, show off what's growing. They're halfway, just a way for me to catalog what's doing better each year so I can look back and see what mistakes I made and how I rectified them and teach over the years and learn and grow myself. So to start out with, here we have a balloon flower. This is 3 years old now. It was just a dead, dried up pot that was clearanced out at Walmart that I took home and divided it, and now I've got 2 plants. I'll probably divide it again someday in the future. The roots are edible. It's non-native, but in my area it doesn't seem to be invasive. If I ever have volunteers or anything like that pop up, I will update describing them more as an invasive, but as of right now, no such problems. Going to zoom out. I know that makes some people a little motion sick, so I'm going to do it a little bit at a time. There's a volunteer squash right next to it. Some of the iris. I showed how I plant iris in food forest in an earlier video. Some more iris over there. And right here, this is a garlic that I should have harvested a while ago. You should harvest when the first 3 leaves are droopy. Exactly like that garlic over there. Those first 3 leaves are droopy. I should harvest it right now. So maybe after this video I will. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to catch it on camera or if it's going to fly away, but there's a dragonfly at the end of that. Right there. Yep. Oh, there it goes. Oh, nope, it's coming back. Maybe it's just a little camera shy, but right there. Little blue dragonfly. Probably because of the pond I've got, but right there is the shea tree. C-H-E. It's a relative of mulberry and Osage orange. It's also called a mandarin melonberry. It's supposed to taste a lot like watermelon. So that's what's at the center of this guild. And now we're going to zoom back out some more. And zoom back out a lot more. And right here, that bee balm's getting a little smothered out, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'll cut back some of these leaves once the vines develop more. But this is another volunteer squash. I believe this was from a Seminole pumpkin Canadian crookneck hybrid that naturally hybridized. So I'm curious to see what the fruit are going to look like. But either way, it's a volunteer of a volunteer. And the fruit, the actual squash, about that big. So decent size around, pear shape. It lasted all the way through winter and into spring when we finally cut it open to eat it, and I believe I just flung the seeds all over this area. So, volunteer of a volunteer, very tough, no care, and it's still trucking along. You can see the potatoes here are getting kind of fried and knocked back. That is pretty typical for this area. Potatoes don't like extreme heat, and we're getting into the 90s almost every day. Yeah, that's one of the big problems with the Midwest is when it's the heat of summer, it's hot enough that a lot of plants struggle, but then we get really cold. So we got to have things that can both take the heat and the cold. Speaking of things that can do both that, right there, that's the Siberian pea shrub I got this spring. Made a few videos on it already, but it was only about yay tall when I bought it. I planted it down at the bottom of that tube, and it has climbed all the way out the top and kept going. So Siberian pea shrub is really impressing me on the absolute lengths it will grow in a single season from just the tiniest little plant. I believe I got that from Burnt Ridge Nursery. Very happy with that purchase. I'm going to keep circling around. As we keep circling, I believe right there next to this iris, I believe that's sea kale. So I think I took some of the sea kale root from my divisions early spring. I must have stuck a root there. Forgot all about it, but that looks just like sea kale to me. Right there is one of the wild native pollinators I bought during pollinator week. Right there is one of my mums. I'm drawing a blank on the word, so we'll move on, but it's a mum. It's really pretty blooms. I planted it last year and it did great. And while it's a little buried in there, there's a boysenberry that my parents requested. They paid for it, and so I planted it, and now we have this beautiful boysenberry plant. It looks to me like the birds may have stolen the berries before they quite got ripe, but that's life. I'm not upset. it'll be even bigger next year. So just step those weeds down so it can get a little more sunlight. But yep, it's looking great. I'm quite happy with it. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the camera shortly because we're almost done with this. But as I walk around, I also have a sunflower I just tossed some seeds in here from. And walk just a little further. Right there is a wild bee balm, again, I bought during pollinator week. So we're gonna make a cut, and I'm gonna show you some other part of the garden. Here we go. All right, everybody. I just realized I filmed the whole beginning of the video with the camera facing the wrong direction, so I will likely have to flip it afterwards. My apologies. But right here, just a quick look across my chestnut orchard. You can see a lot more of them have popped out of the top of the tree tubes, making a lot of progress. I'm not going to walk the whole orchard because there's so much less going on. It's a more modern planting, just trees plugged in on even spaces, but you know, still working on it, still making progress. Of course, the in-between, for anyone new, the tall ones are chestnuts, short ones are hazels. Some of the hazels came really tall when I bought them, some of the hazels are really short. This one's got an Apios americana growing up and around the tree. It's a great nitrogen fixer. But yeah, only problem is starting to get so hot they're just falling over in the heat. I set them up and they just topple. The other problem is some of these hazels are really getting the attention of the Japanese beetles. They're just turning the leaves into nothing but empty veins. Oh, this one's got Apios on it too. Looks like I did a decent job of spreading some of that out. That's a good thing. But yeah, we're gonna keep moving, keep filming. See y'all in a little bit. I lied. I'm gonna take one quick scan of just the lawn in between these chestnut trees. And I don't know why I'm blessed with so much clover, but I just wanted to point out how blessed I really am. I know clover is a great forage if I ever get any animals in here. And I know it's a nitrogen fixer, so every time we mow the lawn, we're enriching the soil. We don't normally let it grow out this much, but here's Dutch clover in the spots in between. Just, it's beautiful. We've never worried about trying to kill everything but grass off, so this is just what decades of mowing has left us with. There's grass, but there's also lots of clover, there's lots of dandelion, there's lots of wild carrots. I would love to find some place, oh, I'm holding you guys the wrong way again anyways, but I would love to find like a bulk cheap seed that I could spread for more mowing tolerant wildflowers, like stuff like oxeye daisy that can be mowed regularly but still survive. I would love that if anyone has any resources for something like that. But I'm gonna make a cut and see you guys in a minute. I'll put it off a little bit more again because man, the beetles have done a number on one of my hazels right here. That is rough. It's all just empty lace. There's one of the beetles left on it. So hopefully they make it through, but yeah, there's always a risk of some of it. All right, and since we're already most of the way out of this area, I also have that one chestnut tree that I transplanted from one that I bought somewhere else and that has just kind of been treated special for one reason or another to see if it can catch up. So here's that transplanted tree right here. Good looking, but still short. And the potatoes around it are just booming. They're very happy potatoes. Big happy bee balm. And that big potato log that they'll be putting potatoes under for sure. All right, here we make our cut. All right, here we are on my Apios americana trellis. It's getting away from me. I can't deny that at all. The right there is my cold hardy almond. It's looking pretty good, though it's been chewed up quite a bit. We've got some vines that are trying to get outside of the trellis. I get it, they're trying to get into the sun, but if they stay out there, they're gonna get mowed. as unfortunately has happened to a couple of my potato plants. But right here, they've climbed to the top and climbed into each other and over each other. Hopefully they find their way all the way over to these sunchokes. They can climb up with the sunchokes as they get taller. Oh, sorry, I'm not even filming what I'm doing. Right there, if I can weave it that way once or twice to make it hold. Yeah, they'll find those sunchokes and climb right up. Sorry if you can hear a mower. You know, we do have neighbors. You know, we're what I consider a really good sized homestead, but to a lot of people this is a little bit of nothing. We're working on about 4 to 5 acres. To me, that's all the land in the world. That's all I could ever ask for. But to some people, that's a tiny little bit of nothing. So, you know, like everything in life, perspective is different for everyone. Here we go, get that weaved in. You don't have to bother with all this weaving. It's just the more of it that doesn't get cut down, the more energy it'll have. And then down in there, yep, there's that kiwi plant I planted way too early in spring. The issue is they ship them to stores long before last frost date, and they sprout so early, and if you don't do something with them, they just get fried right up. So here's one of those other vines. Just gonna lay it into the tree. Why not? If it keeps growing, it'll grow into the tree. Another sunflower from a seed I just kind of tossed. But yep, that's my Apios. Oh, and right here in the middle, cute little flowers. Those are from a skirret plant that I've got planted under me. Very pretty. All right, now we're getting into some of a bit of everything. That's a wild plum. Wild plum gets touched a little bit by the Japanese beetles, but not too bad. Unfortunately, the domesticated plums get demolished by them. There's my purple rooster echinacea. I could deadhead all of it, and there's a chance that it would respond by a whole new flush. There's a little bumblebee. Little bumblebee still getting the last of it, but I usually like to let it just focus on using its energy to make an even bigger explosion of growth next year. And speaking of explosion of growth, man, I'll be honest, I didn't like the way that Grimo Nut handles problems, and just in general, I don't want to buy from them again. But these Japanese walnuts on black walnut rootstock have done really well. I can't complain about the tree. The tree is very nice. Only thing that I would say is that it did way better once I put it in one of the tree tubes that I stole from one of my chestnuts. Before that, they were kind of slow growers. When they had a tall straight tube, they took off. Speaking of a slow grower right now, we've got this pawpaw, has some bee balm around it and a bean climbing it. That pawpaw is taking its time. As we walk over this way, here's one of those walnuts. I decided to unwrap it because it was just really looking terrible wrapped up like that. I figure next spring I'll have to trim off all these shoots on the lower parts, because otherwise we'll end up with stuff like it had a crotch right there that would tear out once it got big and heavy. So it's better to trim it now and let the tree heal. So I trimmed that this summer or this spring, and we'll trim it again next spring. For fruit trees, you want to trim short, keep them within reach, but a lot of nut trees, it's handier to just let them grow tall and pick up the nuts. So that's the plan with these. That's the plan with the chestnuts. Of course, my actual, what are these called? Thornless honey locusts. The smaller one is now taller than my head, and the tall one is real tall. At least as tall, no, a little taller than those walnuts. Really, really good looking right there. But right down in there, yep, that looks good. That's a American persimmon. I'm a pretty big fan of persimmons, but I never gave the American ones much chance earlier on, because I had always heard that, you know, they were just going to be small and not very pleasant. Here's another American persimmon. And the extra work of them, you know, needing, what's the word I'm looking for? They need certain extra care that I wasn't really wanting to put in. Here's, don't remember the variety name, but here's some beautiful daylilies from Bluestone Perennial. Beautiful variety. I have a whole video on uses for daylily. But yeah, American persimmons also require a male pollinator. However, there are a few species and varieties, I should say, that don't. So I've just been buying the varieties that don't. I haven't bothered to buy a male yet. Walk over here. Down in there is one of my 2 shagbark hickories that I bought this year. Tiny, but looking quite healthy. Right over here, I wish I could say I saw it grow more, but don't know why the bird netting fell in. But down inside of there is a Bart nut. American white walnut is also called a butternut, so that's the buh part. And Japanese walnuts are sometimes called heart nuts, so that's the art part, is heart. So Bart nuts are a Japanese heart nut and a American white walnut combined. I have 2 of them. They can pollinate my heart nuts, and heart nuts can pollinate them, so they should work fine. Over here is a what's the word? Mulberry coming back from the root because for some reason it didn't make it through the winter. We're gonna see if maybe it survives this winter or not. But it's got some beautiful red yarrow growing with it. So nothing else, I've added a beautiful variety out here. Walking over this way, we're starting to hit, again, just the hazelnuts and the chestnuts. There's hazelnut, Bocking number 10 comfrey, one of the main two types of comfreys you'll find. Over here there's another hazelnut. And from here on back, it's all hazelnuts and chestnuts. Though I have taken the effort, put in the time to try to plant a bunch of different things, a bunch of different varieties. Like right there is a Baptisia on hazel, so it's a nitrogen fixer. And as I walk over this way, here we have a nice comfrey. Yep, big, happy, healthy comfrey. And a Monarda right there. There's a comfrey and a Monarda. And that's just sort of, you know, how I'm kind of doing things now. I'm trying to drop in a couple good plants everywhere I can. Just drop a couple of this there, drop a couple of those there. There's a comfrey there on another hazel. So that's just sort of what I've been up to out here. Try to make it a little more permaculture over time. Right now it's pretty limited, but over time I'm hoping to get it a lot more. So I'll see y'all in another video as soon as I can, and thank you very much for watching. If you got any tips, tricks, questions, whatever, just let me know. I'll see y'all in another video as soon as I can. Goodbye now.